Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kirusho here. Now, when we last left off, Deku and the rest of the team, basically Jiro, Bakugo, Ochako, and Kirishima, basically were able to hold off the Nomu until All Might arrived, saving the day. Now then, in the next following week, Deku actually does... Oh god. No, Jesus Christ, that dog is loud. In the following week, up to the 2 weeks for the sports festival, Deku and Jiro, they are actually talking, and he's actually talking about how he is trying to get better at this maneuverability. Now, she's actually trying to work on her whole hovering, but she kind of forgot that after not using weighted clothing or taking it off, she is actually able to hover quite well. So she actually works on her movement. Basically how much she can move with it, and how fast she can move with it. She's actually able to move at about a good 80, not 80, probably 80 miles, if not a good like that, because I'm pretty sure she can probably just create a loud sonic burst through one of her legs and actually send herself flying up. So, while they're doing that, Bakugo is actually training a bit more intensely and actually working on his quirk. Now, Deku actually did fill out the paperwork to get this done, or to have his gloves registered. Now, Deku is actually thinking that this is going to be a very, very good time. If not, this is going to be really fun. Now then, after a little bit of time, basically 2 weeks, Deku actually does somewhat master the ability to move like his brother. My reasoning for it being the 2 weeks, Deku always studied Bakugo as a kid, and he's actually able to use full Cowling and move around somewhat similar to Bakugo, if not copying what he sees. Deku and him being brothers, and the fact that Deku takes notes on Bakugo in certain ways he moves, not only is he able to actually use Bakugo's ability, he is able to actually somewhat improve upon it. Now, because of that, Deku is actually a bit faster than Bakugo. He can run around 60 miles an hour at base, but using explosions, he can actually improve his speed. But since he's lighter, he doesn't have as much velocity moving forward. Basically, that means Bakugo and Deku are even in speed. Because I want to put Bakugo around probably 10 to 15 pounds heavier than Deku in muscle, giving Bakugo basically more momentum whenever he goes forward. Basically also increasing his own speed. Now then, hang on 1 minute. Okay, that's better. Now, let us cut to the sports festival. Deku is told that he is going to be the representative, and he immediately walks up with his glove still in his hand. Now, he immediately grabs the mic and just tells people that his name is Izuku Midoriya. His twin brother is here today with him, and they are going to be competing. Now, one thing I want to say to everyone is, I plan on seeing myself in that number 1 spot. So if you guys think that you can beat me, I encourage you to try. Because I plan on giving it my hardest today, and if anyone holds back, I will be disappointed. So I encourage you to prove me wrong. Plus Ultra, as he immediately raises his hand, actually setting off an explosion. People would see this, and he would immediately just put the mic deck down and walk back over next to his brother. Bakugo would say that, you may be a bit of an idiot sometimes, but you at least know how to encourage people. I do my best, jackass. Alright, smart mouth. I'll tell you one thing. You're not going to be the winner today, I am. Oh yeah? Yep. Alright, jackass. Alright, dumbass. Alright, dumber ass. Alright, you know what? I was going to declare war on one of you, but I'm declaring war on both of you. Okay, Icy Hot, these two would say in unison. Ugh. Todoroki thinks, dear God, there's two of them. Now, the race would begin and Todoroki would immediately blanket the entire area in ice. But Bakugo and Deku would be some of the first to immediately jump upwards and break free, actually allowing them to get a good head start on Todoroki. Kirishima would just be able to break through it with his hardening. Ochako would just... I want to say Ochako would probably just be able to kick it, or probably just zero gravity herself. Jiro would actually be able to somewhat get ahead, and what I mean by that is she kind of just pushed off with as much power as possible, kind of not thinking about it, but actually breaking through a lot of the ice, setting a lot of people free, and actually setting herself flying through the air. Deku and Bakugo are both using explosions, flying through the air as Todoroki is actually trying to attack them, essentially freezing them in place to give him a chance to get in front of them. Deku and Bakugo are actually just outmaneuvering him, and they're actually somewhat in unison, firing off explosions to counteract Todoroki. People are seeing this, and this is when Remike would ask, it's like those two are essentially in sync. What's going on with that, and why do they have so much... Well, why are their quirks so similar? Well, you see, Mike, these two are actually brothers, if not twins. So, they kinda share a similar quirk. Young Bakugo can produce sweats through essentially by triggering explosive sweat. Young Midoriya can do the same, or other Midoriya, but he kinda does it differently. Apparently his sweat gets stored up in his palms, and as soon as he touches something, it kinda sticks to it. And he's actually able to trigger it by flicking his fingers together, causing an explosion. Oh, so they do share quirks, but... Well, their quirks do share a lot of similarities, but those support items he's using, as he points out his gloves, are actually able to essentially make it to where he can blow up the palm of the gauntlet. Basically somewhat changing his quirk to be more like his brother's. Now then, Deku is actually saying that this is actually pretty challenging, as him and Bakugo are actually just fighting for control, and whenever it gets to the point where they're in the minefield, Deku and Bakugo are actually looking at each other. They both just stop, wait for Todoroki, and as soon as Todoroki sees them, they both immediately just create a giant explosion, somewhat just flying over the minefield. Todoroki runs through the minefield and actually gets all of them set off, blowing him up, sending him flying backwards through the course. Now, because of that, Jiro is actually able to take third place, as Deku and Bakugo both somewhat tie for second, or first. Now, they would both tie for first, and they are actually both given 2 5 million point headbands. Now, as they are given these headbands, they have to do the Cavalry battle. Mei actually does try and team up with Deku, because she would just say that she actually helped create part of his support item. Deku would ask what she means, and she would actually point out that the triggers Deku uses to essentially uncover his fingers, she actually provided the design for. So she can actually help him modify those later to essentially improve them. Because she kind of got bored one day and actually somewhat improved upon the previous design. Now, Deku's team is going to consist of Tetsu, Jiro, and Mei. Basically, Tetsu is being a strong front horse for Deku. Tetsu would have actually walked up saying that, so, you're essentially that one guy he saw during the entrance exam Well, I'll tell you one thing. That one guy from 1A, him and I share a similar quirk. But I want to prove to him mine is better. So, let me on your team. I can stop that asshole from essentially showing off his own quirk. Are you sure you can take my explosions, man? Oh, plus, trust me, I'm positive. Okay. And the team will be like this. Jiro, Tetsu, Mei are the horses, while Deku is actually on top with the headband. Instead of wrapping it around his head, he actually wraps it around his arm. And now, people are confused as he actually wrapped it around where his armpit is. Deku would just say the rules never said where you had to wear them, and Eraserhead would just say that actually they kinda need to wear them like that. Deku would just say fine, and he just wrapped it around his neck. Now then. Deku, he actually just thinks that this is going to be a bit more challenging. So, him and Bakugo's team actually fight with each other. Bakugo's team consists of Ochako, Ida, Kirishima, and that's it. Now, while their team is like this, Bakugo's team and Deku's team are essentially trying to fight for control over the 10 million, since it had to be split up. Deku and Bakugo, they're both just throwing explosions and actually trying to fight with each other. And one thing Deku did is, whenever they were actually able to get in a struggle where Deku flew at Bakugo, fighting his team, he was actually able to touch Kirishima's hair and actually blast an explosion at him, distracting him. Now, as soon as that happened, Deku actually just put his hand out underneath him, firing an explosion, sending him higher up into the air, and he actually revealed his fingertips. As soon as Bakugo saw this, he would have thought, oh crap, who did he touch? And he immediately thinks that Deku touched himself, so he just flies up into the air, actually waiting for his explosion to go off. He would actually hear the explosion underneath him as Kirishima just blew up. Kirishima's still standing there very tough, although he does have some burn marks and scorch marks all over him. Bakugo's team was sent flying as Kirishima would actually catch Bakugo. They would eventually get reset, and Todoroki's team is actually trying to fight for control. But they would be met with a swift nope, as anytime Todoroki tried to interfere, Deku and Bakugo had this whole plan to basically make Todoroki use that fire side. So anytime he tried to interrupt them, they would just be like, hey, we're stopping, we're gonna fight that guy. Because, come on. Seeing a guy only use half his power, and his power being ice, the fact that he has a fire, it would be really interesting to see. So they'd just be fighting with him, and trying to piss him off, saying that he should just use that fire side. Come on, Icy Hot, I know you can. So, that would eventually end with Todoroki actually somewhat almost using his fire side, like in canon. Now, Deku, he actually smirks because he sees Todoroki actually bring up his hand and hesitate. As soon as he saw that, he actually took his opening and actually stole a headband off of, well, his head. This, however, was not a very big headband. It was at least a 50.1, making Todoroki more pissed off. Now, for the battles, this is how it is going to go. Jiro is taking Mei's place. Mei is taking Jiro's place, and Jiro's place is going to be where Aoyama was. I'm going to have to just edit this picture to have a giant X over Aoyama. There's like a giant red one. That would just be hilarious. I'm going to do that later. Anyways, that will be probably in my next What If. Anyways, they are actually stating that they should be careful, and this is whenever Ejiro, the tail guy, he would somewhat walk up to Deku, giving him a warning. Warning him that that guy he talked to from their class, he heard a rumor that his quirk was brainwashing. If not, essentially, he's able to get into people's heads. So he's not sure if it's by talking to them or just being able to in general. Basically like a form of kinesis, if not mental manipulation. So just don't talk to him and try and take him out of the ring as fast as you can. Deku would just say, alright, and whenever the round begins, the guy immediately tries to piss off Deku, but Deku just immediately rushes him, actually slamming him out of the ring, as the guy would just say, you're not even going to have a proper conversation, you're just some asshole, you're just an asshole. Deku would just say he's not an asshole, it's just your quirk isn't in the right conditions. In fact, if you learn how to mimic people's voice, your quirk would actually be very dangerous. Or if you've been trained your physical body. Now, the next round, Todoroki versus Sero. That round goes similar to where Todoroki just layers ice all over the ring. Ibar versus Kaminari. That happens the same in canon. Ida versus Jiro. Jiro is actually able to create loud sonic bursts that actually push her up into the air and actually are able to blast her opponents essentially off their feet. So she actually is able to win. Mei versus Mina. Mei immediately quits because she doesn't want any of her babies to be damaged in the fight. Because she's able to place at least very good and show off during the Cavalry battle. So she didn't want any of her babies to be injured. Because she knows that that quirk is very dangerous. So Mina wins by default. Todoroki wins. Tokoyami would win this battle against Momo. And then we have Tetsu versus Kirishima. Kirishima just tells Tetsu that essentially your whole hard steel isn't going to compare to his hardening quirk. Tetsu asks what he means, and Kirishima would immediately just power up to his unbreakable mode, saying that through training his quirk and essentially through intense explosions and actually dealing with those two explosive twins, he has actually strengthened his quirk to its maximum. If not, he feels like he might be able to go further than this. Now, he's actually able to hold this hardened form for, I want to say, at least 2 to 3 minutes, tops. And that's actually very good, considering after an entire year's worth of training, and dealing with Bakugo and Deku's explosives, I'm giving him that amount of time. I was going to say 10 minutes, but actually no. Yeah, I think 10 minutes would be good. Because I think in the flashbacks, I've only ever seen him hit himself with steel bars and stuff like that. So actually him having a quirk like this somewhat gives him a bit of an edge with dealing with Deku and Bakugo. So I want to put him around 10 minutes. Tetsu is actually very shocked, as he just says that that sound he's making is annoying, as he immediately comes in to punch him. Kirishima actually meets his fist with his own, actually breaking his hand. This actually shocks Tetsu, as he immediately gets socked in the gut, actually punched out of the ring. This is quite impressive, because even with his hardened skin, he just broke Tetsu's ribs and hand. As he immediately walks over, stretching his hand out to Tetsu, actually grabbing him and pulling him back up, saying that essentially, if you want your quirk to be stronger, train with those two. That's what I've been doing. As he walks away. Bakugo versus Ochako. This actually goes a bit differently, with Bakugo actually being somewhat less relentless. He's telling Ochako that she isn't gonna fare well because even without using his quirk, he might actually be able to beat her. Now, this is whenever Ochako just says that even then, that doesn't matter. She immediately rushes Bakugo, and Bakugo immediately rushes at her. As these two are fighting, he's actually able to dodge her hands because he's been sparring with his brother. He has to do the exact same. She would eventually tap onto his shirt, and he would immediately just go to actually pull off his shirt as it floats through the air. He immediately just rushes at her, actually throwing an explosion, and she grabs his arm. She would actually go to flip him, but Bakugo immediately just turns his wrist, actually blasting into her stomach, sending her flying toward the edge of the ring. As soon as this happens, Bakugo immediately begins floating, as he puts his hands behind him, blasting his way down toward Uraka, saying that even then, my quirk gives me. He would just say that his quirk, he knows how to use it properly. As he's flying towards her, she realizes that she didn't even think about his whole flying technique, if not his explosive style. As she puts her hands up, immediately going to punch Bakugo, but Bakugo would just turn his arm, actually putting it in the way. She essentially punches it, actually fracturing it as he pushes her out of the ring. Now, as soon as this happens, he tells her to release him, because he's still floating up into the air. She would do so, and he'd actually go to Recovery Girl and get healed. Now then, I'm pretty sure I have enough time for Deku versus Todoroki. Now, I actually just saw a video where it was Bakugo's defense and maneuverability versus Todoroki's essentially offensive style. Basically, these two are the worst to ever come up against each other, because where one exceeds, the other exceeds as well. Todoroki in defense and Bakugo in offense. And with the fact that Deku's quirk is essentially a different variant of Bakugo's, Deku could just lay a trap as soon as he was in his previous match. Now, Deku actually walks into the ring, and he actually sees Todoroki. Todoroki is saying that he declares war on him, and Deku would just say, "Get in line. My brother was here first." Anyways, I'm just gonna knock you out of the ring and fight my brother in the finals, so let's just get this over with. Todoroki says he doesn't think so, as he immediately starts rushing towards Deku. He immediately rushes forward, actually throwing as much ice out as possible. Deku immediately clicks his fingers together, actually blowing up some of the ice in certain parts. This confuses Todoroki as he realizes Deku kinda had this whole planned out. As Deku immediately starts charging up explosions in his hands, he immediately just starts blowing them forward as much as possible. Now, while that's going on, Todoroki is actually just thinking that he needs to get past Deku's defense, as he is just essentially, he might have to use his fire, but he doesn't want to. Deku essentially just keeps knocking back Todoroki's ice, telling him that it's useless and he just needs to fire as much as he can. Come on, man. Even Kirishima can fight me better than you. You talk being proud about using only half your power, but what are you doing now? I see your hand over there. Don't pretend like you're not freezing. Listen, it's either you try and fight me and stick to your stupid moral code, and you lose, or you go all out and tell your father to go fuck himself. Endeavor immediately starts shouting something from the stadium. Deku just immediately just throws up the finger, saying, "Shut the fuck up, Endeavor. You're not in this." Todoroki just looks at Deku, somewhat smirking and trying not to laugh, as he actually just says, "You know what? My father only created me for a purpose, to kill or take All Might's place. So I might as well just abandon what he has planned for me. As he immediately charges up his fire, actually ready to fight Deku. Deku, he immediately just does what Bakugo did against, I believe it was Kirishima, or was it Tokoyami? He actually comes in with a fiery inferno. As he's doing this, he actually is rotating his palm to essentially help keep the momentum up. Essentially blasting in targeted places to actually build more momentum and speed. He is doing this as he is actually just doing that with one hand and blasting through Todoroki's ice with the other. This actually somewhat damages his right glove, as whenever he finally gets through, he is able to just push and blast Todoroki out of the ring. Todoroki, he would have tried essentially putting ice behind him, but Deku immediately just clicks his fingers together, setting off another explosion, destroying the ring underneath him and knocking him out. As Deku is considered the winner and will be advancing to the semifinals. Now, he actually realizes that what happened to one of his gloves, and he's thinking that it's still usable. But he just might have to keep his fingertips open. If not, he might just need to... Essentially, the way it happened is the heated palm. Basically, the way Bakugo's hands work is they're very rough skinned so he doesn't get burned or damaged by his own explosions. Deku's hands are the same way. If not, they're similar, but he just has these heated things, essentially these heat-resistant padding, all over his palm. So if that gets cracked, he can actually become he basically can become weakened to his own explosions. So he just has to abandon that glove. Now, I will be leaving this part off here, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and have an amazing day. I will catch you guys later.